Hello all, Old Geek again, and as you can see by what's on my screen, it's time for a browse through another edition of the Dragon magazine. This is issue 3. Again, this cost $1.50, and this was released in October 1976. And the first thing I'm going to say is they have taken a big step back in terms of art quality on the cover. I don't mind the pinky purple backdrop, but that's not great. Look, that really isn't great. So let's hope the contents are a little better. Now, previously they've been advertising Gen Con on this second page, but obviously Gen Con has now happened. So TSR is proud to present the game of Lankmar by Fritz Leiber, pronounce his name right, and Harry Fisher. So, looks like a Lankmar game by TSR. I've never heard of that game. I don't know if anybody has actually played it, but let me know in the comments. Game of skill for 2 to 4 players. Fantastic world of Nuon is at your fingertips as you command the... Oh, okay, so it is a tactical game, a strategy game. Chess-like game, it says down the bottom. Okay. Never seen it. Never heard of it. Right, page number 3. The dragon is still rumbling here. Someone once said that all you needed to play fantasy games was a willing suspension of disbelief. This philosophy goes so far as to succinctly sum up fantasy gaming, but only on the surface. What is most essential is an active imagination. Without one, there can be no fantasy. Correct. Webster's New Collegiate Dictionary, 1975, defines fantasy as to fancy. Fancy? Especially the free play of creative imagination, the creation of the imaginative faculty. Defined to be okay, right. Yeah, that's one definition of fantasy, but something I find when people say, "Oh, but it's fantasy, you can have anything." I disagree. It's not all just what you make in your imagination. Fantasy is a genre, and fantasy has assumptions. That fantasy genre tends to assume a medieval European feel. You can go a little bit either direction. You can go a little bit pre-medieval, post-medieval, Renaissance. But you've got that oldie worldy feel to fantasy, and then you add magic and dragons and stuff to that world. I mean, it's the world of the likes of Tolkien. I don't subscribe to the more general fantasy can have everything approach, because you have sci-fi as a distinctive genre. Fantasy is a distinctive genre. Horror is a distinctive genre. Now, there are some crossovers. Horror can creep into both fantasy and sci-fi and be its own genre. But fantasy and sci-fi to me are distinct. Again, I know some of you disagree with my statement there. Might be a British versus American thing. Possibly. Anyway, I don't recognise the Webster's New Collegiate Dictionary. It's the Oxford English Dictionary. I need to look at what that says as fantasy, whether it mentions it as a genre. Oh, but look here. You can see the new format in this issue that I will use for fiction. I feel that the Dragon should and will be more than a variant magazine, as it is meant to deal with all aspects of fantasy, swords and sorcery, and science fiction. It accepts the differences of the genres there. I would say swords and sorcery fit in the traditional fantasy. Okay, so what do we have? Does anyone remember War of the Empires? No. Simple answer to that. No, I don't. But It's a sci-fi. It looks like a sci-fi war game from 1966. That's why I don't remember it. It's sci-fi and it's a war game. Don't know much about war games. Diplomacy. Played a bit of that when I was in my teens. Warhammer. Civilization. The original board game of Civilization. Again, it's not a war game. Tactical board game. I've never played what you'd class as war games, other than the odd game of Warhammer against somebody who I think was cheating. I'd always get given the Duff army. So he goes on. Gygax goes on about War of the Empires. I don't know anything about it, I'm afraid. Ever missed? That's a new ad creeping in. Okay. Star Web. Okay, so we're going on with more. Oh, it's an advert. Advert. More sci-fi. Play by mail. I remember play by mail games. I played a few of those. I played It's a Crime, and I played one called It's a Crime was Gang Warfare, and I played Game Plan. It was called. It was an NFL based one. It's the BBMs I played. Right, Notes on Women and Magic by Len Lakofka. Phil before. Okay, right. Look, I don't think you need different rules for male and female characters in terms of classes and what have you. No need. But that's not to say I have a problem with the controversial strength cap that female characters had in AD&D. I don't have a problem with that, because one, it affects so few characters, and two, for me, it has the desired effect of female characters leaning more into classes such as cleric, a magic user, and maybe thief, non-strength based classes, in which case the player has no penalty there at all. They just think of the female character in a different mode in terms of the game. There don't need to be different classes. You can still have female fighters, and most of them will not be affected by a strength cap anyway, because those strength caps only apply to the point at which the character is generated. Simple as that. Bit of magic, bit later on, and we can easily have a female fighter with ogre strength. Not a problem. But I know it's controversial to say. I know it's seen as being a clumsy way of bringing in difference between the sexes, and I don't have a problem with it. But I don't think there's a need for different classes here. Or are they just simply different titles? I mean, don't know. I mean, I don't know what the experience point tables were like in OD&D. Are these different? I Instead of charisma, beauty is rated on two 20-sided dice numbered 1 to 10. So the range is 2 to... No. No point. No point. It just causes problems. Just causes problems. You can have beautiful... Why replace charisma? You can have charismatic women. They don't have to necessarily be beautiful. We don't know, for example, what Boudica looked like. But there's no doubt that she had a lot of charisma because she led her people. Anyway. Move on. Yeah, I would completely ignore this bit. It just drives a wedge. No need. Right, let's moving on. Oh, okay, there's a lot about these specifically female classes. Nah, no, thank you. Heritage, more figures. Search for the gnome cache. I still haven't read the first couple of parts, so there's no point in me reading the third part. That's a piece of fiction that's been going on through these first editions of Dragon, and minifigs get an advert. I'm going to come to something I find interesting. Oh, birth tables. I remembered these in Unearthed Arcana. Quite liked them. It was quite a good mechanic. Of course, very important for Cavaliers, whether or not you allow the Cavalier class. But yeah, the social class I would have 1 to 30 commoner, 31 to 85 merchant. Oh yeah, I guess you're assuming that merchants have enough money to buy swords and commoners don't. But I would have a higher proportion to start as commoners. I like my players to start poor. Sibling rank. Ooh. 25% don't know their parents, or at least don't know their dad. Okay, that's okay. You're thinking in medieval world, yeah, maybe, but I'd have thought within the medieval world, the typical medieval setting, religion being a stronger force on society, that there'd be fewer children born out of wedlock. I don't know the statistics. Feels odd to me having it as 25%. Oh, I'm gonna roll one on this. Yeah, to be honest, regarding siblings and whatever, I just let the players choose. To be what you want. You can be the 11th child of 12. You can be an only child. You can be an orphan. You can be a twin. Whatever. Just make it up as you go along. Just don't push it. Just don't try and gain something from it. As far as I'm concerned, be what you want, but just don't try and push it to gain something from it. So no, there's no need for mechanics on that. But we do have ratings in terms of how much money you get based on your starting class, and again that came in to Unearthed Arcana. That's fine. Father's occupations. Once again, choose, unless you're trying to use it for advantage. Just a nice bit of fluff, bit of flavour, and I don't have a problem. I mean, yeah, you could have a father who's a blacksmith, or maybe a father who was a blacksmith, and that's why you might be a blacksmith. I do like the table for occupations, pre-adventuring occupations that's in the Dungeon Master's Guide, and I would say have the player roll on that table, and then pick parents that would fit whatever line they get from there. Perhaps. One type of craftsman, your son might be a different type of craftsman, but craftsman would be in the blood. But no, this goes into the nitty gritty. A bit too much nitty gritty. A little bit unnecessary. So what else are we generating? This is just a total random. Right. Therefore, we've come up with the following birth tables to aid the DM in rolling up new characters for campaign. No, the players roll up their characters, unless this is NPCs. It doesn't seem to indicate it being NPCs, but the players roll up their characters. Okay, a little bit further down, we've got a player may roll a random. No, just let the player choose their own race. Look, there is something to be said for rolling randomly to get some interesting role playing out of it. But it depends on the type of campaign you're running. If you're running a long campaign, then give the players a bit more leeway. You let them pick what they're going to want to play for a long time. If it's just drop-in sessions or one-shots, by all means have something random. Give them a character. There you go, you're playing that character for this one-shot. It doesn't matter. But no, we have the beginnings. See table 2 down the bottom here. I don't know if you can see me highlighting that. But the beginnings of stat ranges for other races. Different numbers of dice rolled for stats for other races. No, just roll 3d6 in a line and pick. And if you qualify for a race, you can pick that race. If you don't, you can't. What's wrong with that? Anyway, I think this is an unnecessary article. Fine for DMs. Use as NPCs. Use it as a guideline for NPCs, but not for players. Okay. Now we have a cartoon. I hope it's a bit better than the first cartoons where there was something about it. Didn't get those. Okay. Let's see if there's any genuine humour on this one. Aha! Grunts, yes. Footsteps, and I think that he's listening at doorways. Look. Yes, a door being opened somewhere. Right, so he's listening at a doorway while something's happening on the other door. And now I hear a door slamming and some screams and hacking and a definite struggle. Good. It's actually quite amusing. It's all happening behind them and it just shows them as being stupid. Now it's quiet again. Wait, I hear that door again. Uh-oh. I think it's clear now. I'm going to check it out. You two guys stay right here. Well, they're not going anywhere now, are they? Hey, Phineas. Shut up, I'm busy. But Phineas, listen, how am I supposed to pick this lock without you guys bugging me all the time? Oops, excuse me, Fred, Charlie. Yeah. Oh, that's all right, that is. That's not too bad. That's better than the previous comics in the previous edition. Der Kriegsspielers are back. More adverts. Wargaming World, not interested. I'm sorry. I'm genuinely not interested in game stuff. Right. Okay, this Mapping the Dungeons thing is a service for DMs to find games. And the first one was a short list of DMs USA. Second issue had a long list of DMs in the USA, and now we've got it broken down. We have Canada, we have England, Cambridge University, Wargaming Society, EPT. Don't know what. Well, it looks like it's Texas. But I don't know what EPT is short for. And then we've got D&D down here. And that's all the USA list, isn't it? The Dungeon Hobby Shop, the Midwest. Okay, so that's that. That's the original TSR shop. First time I see an advert for that. Out on a limb. Ooh. Readers' letters. Not going to read through them because they're going to be too long. Readers' letters. Who's the editor? Does it say who the editor is? Is it Tim Kask who did this? I don't know. I really don't know. Nice to see. I'm just reading it. It does look like Tim. I've seen Tim here. Is this a letter from a Tim? I recognise the name Lewis Pulsifer. That's the person who wrote that particular letter. Something to do with the Fiend Folio. Was he involved in British side of D&D? saw his name in the Fiend Folio, definitely. But I think I think it might be Tim Kask who's doing these. I will read through those letters. I will come back and read through those letters in my own time because I'll find that interesting. Okay. A plethora of obscure subclasses. The authors of D&D have asked me to stress that none of the following are to be considered official. I feel the purpose of the dragon is to provide new ideas and variants, of course it is. And I've printed in the past and probably print in the future things that I wouldn't let in my own campaign. Fair enough, yeah. Up to the DM to decide. A great deal of them are superfluous and better handled by the DM. Yes. In the last, the dragon, the alchemist, was intended to be recommended as a non-player character, as are many of these. Fine. That's from the editor. Okay, not the writer of the article. But it's good that they're making that distinction. These are designed to be NPCs and use them as you wish. So we have a healer. You can detect molds and slimes and determine types of potions. 12th level before they can read scrolls. Okay. Basic prerequisites for a healer are high. Minimum score 15 each in intelligence, wisdom, and dexterity. Can't use any armor or shield, but can use any weapons. The healer is a combination of magic and cleric, like a shaman, with a dash of fighter. Meh. However, the healer has a set of spells exclusive to himself. Okay. So they've got their own spells, and at 16th level they get some magic user spells, and 20th level some more, so that's a long way away. Can read magical and clerical scrolls at level 12. That's a bit, yeah, it's a bit far up. Well, it depends on how good their spells are. Look at that experience point. That's huge. 5,000 for level 2. Okay, they're a combination class, aren't they? They're a combination class, so it's like multi-classing, but still. And of course, all their spells. First level, detection spell. Second level, they neutralize. Slow? Animate dead? You can raise dead as a third level spell. That's a third level character when they get that. Look, 1/1/1. Wow, these guys. Looks like they move up in an odd manner in terms of power, but good God, they gain some good spells very quickly. The characters at third level, they can raise dead, animate dead. Stone to flesh at fourth level. The fourth level spell, that's a level 4 character. Wow. That's brutal. I'm not going to read all their spells. Scribes, a new specialist. A scribe. Again, sounds like a good NPC class. And that healer, probably an NPC class, but why not have a higher level cleric in a temple doing that? No, don't know. But of course, they were brainstorming things, weren't they? Just sort of throwing things in the pot and seeing how they came out. So, scribes, great idea. Not a character class, but good NPC. Samurai. It's taken all of 3 editions of Dragon, and the weebs are in there now. We must bring in Japanese culture already. But samurai are cool. Katanas are rubbish. There we go. Unsubscribe. But here it is. If a samurai's katana, longsword, yes, that's what they are, basically. So, samurai's prime requisite dexterity. They have a bonus of getting critical hits. So just looks like badass fighters. Wakizashis, sort of yes. critical hits done on a percentage table. Look at this. The lowest one here is 25% of maximum hit points, or 6 hit points, whichever is greater, and the loss of a limb. Schnick. Brutal. Brutal. Decapitation. Yes. 1 in 20 chance of instant decapitation. It's a Vorpal sword. Immediately. NPC characters. Dragon needs authors and artists. Pay 1 cent per word, a minimum, for any articles or stories published. More for top quality. My essays I used to write in English at school, we were told they had to be about 400 words. So $4 an essay. Yeah, I'd be quite happy with that. I can't guarantee the quality of them. New view of dwarves. Pedantic Brit here. The correct plural of dwarf is dwarfs. Even Tolkien admitted that. Yeah. But the Tolkien plural is being used here. Okay, that's fair. I'll take it from Tolkien. Racers class. And they look like they're tough fighters. As they should be. And already level limits based on the strength score. And other scores. Intelligence and wisdom. Okay. Fair enough. Dwarves as clerics we have here. Since according to Greyhawk there can be dwarf clerics, players should be allowed the option to become one. I was always of the opinion that the player's handbook was wrong to preclude dwarven clerics. But dwarf needs a wisdom of 15 or higher to become a cleric. Dwarves as thieves. Yep. Dwarves cannot be magicians, assassins, monks, paladins, illusionists, rangers, or sages. So they're dwarves. That's fine. That's fine. Warriors, clerics, and thieves. Perfect dwarves. The abilities of dwarves. There's the high magic resistance straight away. They may fully employ the +3 Warhammer. Dwarven hammer. Detecting passages, speaking lots of languages, bonuses against giant class creatures. They may judge properly the full value of gems and jewels. Automatically. That's a bit potent. They can feel when handling armor or weapons if it is magical in nature. Detect magic. Yeah, dwarves are, balance. What's balance? Okay, this is the dirt thing, the whole it thing where they talk nonsense. And in fact, the writing is so difficult to read, I'm not going to bother. Sorry, I don't know who Jake is, but that's a low quality cartoon. Might read it sometime, but it'll hurt my eyes. My eyes are old, and I'm old. Dwarf's reactions to others. Okay, here we have some penalties. Oh, hang on here. Only dwarves with intelligence of 12 or better will even consider getting on a horse, and only then in great need. Turn that round. Only stupid dwarves will get on horses because they'll fall off. The clever ones know they'll fall off, so they don't get on. The dwarf reactions to others. Okay, so we have hate goblins and orcs. Not particularly happy with Sindar, Sylvan elves, and all men. I like that they're using the terms Sindar and Sylvan, nice and Tolkien-esque. And we've still got the mention of hobbits. So the Tolkien estate still hasn't kicked off. Insulting elves is a hobby to them as he's chopping the heads off orcs and goblins. Yes! Go on, little men. Go on. One of my favourite races. I like dwarves. Nothing to do with me being short. It might be. New D&D subclass, the Berserker. This new class is highly experimental. Only boys in the 16 plus club are likely to do well at this. Okay. Wear shaping. Lycanthropy. So berserkers are werewolves. Rah. They did say it's experimental. Yeah, it might be fun as a monster. I'll read that another time. I quite like the idea of berserkers being werebeasts, not as player characters, but werebeasts as monsters. To pin up more subclasses, the idiot. Isn't that all the players at the table? An idiot is obtained by paying 160 gold pieces at the beginning of the game or at a city, if one is present. You can also, a player also has the opportunity to buy a midget. The idiot's purpose is to confuse the enemy so that it will run away, attack a wall, commit harakiri, eat all its treasure, or some related act. Oh, so okay. So they basically just cause confusion by being really, really stupid. Excellent. Look at these level titles: dummy, dope, dolt, dullard, cluck, klutz, cretin, weirdo, nut, fool, imbecile, and only when you get to 200,101, odd number, experience points are you truly an idiot. Another new one: Jesters. Jesters are amusing little fellows who attempt to defeat their enemies by making them laugh. It's a difficult and specialised category to qualify for, since there are three prime requisites: intelligence 15 or better, dexterity 15 or better, and charisma 6 or less. Hang on. But isn't the jester the one that could get away with taking the mickey out of the king without being beheaded? You saying they're not charismatic? Dwarves, because of their stunted height, make the best jesters. Elves can only go to 6th level, village idiot. Men can only reach 5th level, fool. And other types can only reach 4th level, comic. Oh dear. Weapon smelly sock can be swung or thrown. Acid squirting flower. Yes. Spells. Jokes. Pun. Causes attacker to pause and say, what? Oh dear. Good to know that early geeks had a sense of humour. Yes. Moving on. Results of Gen Con's tournament. I keep putting my hand above in front of my mouth. Got to stop doing that. I need to project my voice. That'd be interesting to read. And I do recognise the name of Alan Hammack. Went on to write C2, Ghost Hour of Inverness. Was he the one given the poison chalice of writing it? Sure. I like Ghost Hour of Inverness. That's a good adventure. Outstanding writer, E. Gary Gygax. Voted for by E. Gary Gygax. Now, Gygax was a good writer of modules, an interesting writer of rules, a good writer of tables, and a great writer of modules. I'm going to rephrase that: a great writer of modules. Combat modifications for dexterity. I didn't know they weren't in the game originally. Do they... are they cumulative with strength? Again, OD&D fans chime in. Let me know. Defensive bonuses, of course. Missile bonuses. Damage bonus for... Yeah, I suppose, if you're very dexterous with a dagger. Drop it in the right spot. Winter Fantasy. Okay. Another convention. Lake Geneva. January 8th to 9th, 1977. I would have been 5 years old. $2 for both days. I wish. Oh, I wish. But there we go. We've come to the end. Right. Summary. Presentation. We're getting there. We're starting to get there. In general, the presentation's better. The cover was rubbish, but the rest of the magazine's feeling more consistent in terms of presentation. We're starting to see a fair bit of humour creep in. These NPC classes. These are things for DMs to introduce into their games, and things like the Berserker and the Healer and the Samurai. Yeah, we could have these in as NPCs or enemies. A good way of making enemies. There seems to be a little less fiction, a little less in the way of wargaming. I'm happy for it to be like that. Not mad keen on the article about separate women's classes. Like I said, I'm happy with the way AD&D did it. Affects so few people. Dwarves clearly overpowered, but nice to see them getting a bit of love. And I think that just about sums it up. I'm not going to make you dizzy by flicking up to flick it. I'll stop flicking up there, and I'll draw this little read through to a close. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed this one. I found that quite amusing. That was more fun to read through, more enjoyable for me as a first time reader of it to have a flick through and go, ha ha, yeah, there's humour in there. That's what we want, and there's always humour at the gaming table. Why shouldn't there be humour in the magazines? Anyway, I've been the Old Geek. Thank you for watching.